The Minnesota Timberwolves take a commanding 3-1 series lead over the Golden State Warriors without Steph Curry. And they take care of business in Golden State, now winning 3 straight games, as was expected following Curry's injury. So we're going to dive into game number 4. A spectacular performance from key members of the Minnesota Timberwolves organization. But first, I need to tell you about 5-Star Bath Solutions of Minneapolis. 5-Star Bath Solutions of Minneapolis will give you the bathroom of your dreams in 48 hours. My wife and I were in the market for a new bathroom. We needed one badly because we had a moldy bathroom, a moldy shower, a disgusting step. It was outdated, embarrassing, and gross. And then we discovered 5-Star Bath Solutions of Minneapolis. And they transformed our bathroom and gave us a masterpiece in 24 hours, plus 24 hours, 48 hours. It was incredible. And we had our bathroom back in days. They took our gross, moldy shower, got rid of the mold, and gave us a new tub. They got rid of our nasty floors and gave us updated floors. We had an all disgusting vanity, one sink. They remodeled it all. 5-Star Bath Solutions is affordable. They have free consultations. Their warranties are incredible as well. 5-Star Bath Solutions. Don't wait long. Don't wait 6 to 8 weeks for a project to get done. Contact 5-Star Bath Solutions of Minneapolis, and they will get a full bathroom remodel in 48 hours like they did for us. They're the best. Contact them today. 5-Star Bath Solutions of Minneapolis. Okay, so the Timberwolves win 117-110. The score was closer than the game actually was because the Warriors bench mob was working incredibly hard at the end of the game to try to cover for Draymond Green because the Timberwolves were favored by 5.5 points, and they had a half-court shot to try to cover. It would have been the worst bad beat of all time, and they airballed it. And the Timberwolves win by 7, covering their 5.5 spread. My biggest takeaway from the game is the Timberwolves won. That's a good takeaway. You can't get that kind of knowledge anywhere else except for this podcast right here. But the biggest takeaway from the game is that Anthony Edwards in the third quarter and at the end of the second quarter, Stephen Curry'd the Golden State Warriors. The Timberwolves down 2 at halftime after Edwards knocked down a 30-footer over Draymond Green and another defender. Double team, knocked it down. Fired up going to halftime. Came out and exploded all over the Golden State Warriors. And when Edwards exploded all over the Golden State Warriors, that's what she said, it reminded me of what Stephen Curry has done throughout his entire career in third quarters. It was a classic Stephen Curry performance by Anthony Edwards in that quarter. Because entering the third quarter, the Warriors are feeling good about themselves. They have the lead, and Jimmy Butler got to rest for most of that first half. And Edwards came out of halftime and ripped the hearts out of Golden State by exploding for a 16-point quarter, by knocking down step-back threes, by finishing in the rim, by doing a little dance, giving a little love, and getting down tonight. Anthony Edwards was sensational in Game 4. And it was the first time this series that Edwards really took his game to another level. He played good in the second half in Game 3. But last night in Game 4 seemed like another level. Anthony Edwards played like a superstar in Game 4. throughout almost the entire game, but particularly in that second half. He finishes 11 for 21 with 30 points. He was an efficient scorer. From the three-point line, he went 6 for 11. And the Warriors had nothing for Edwards in that third quarter. In the first half, when the Warriors went into that zone defense, and somehow this zone defense is one of the toughest things for the Timberwolves players to figure out, even though they've been seeing a zone defense throughout their entire life. It's one of the most ridiculous things. NBA players that have played basketball their entire lives cannot figure out a zone defense. You put a big guy in the middle, you give it to that guy, it breaks down the zone, you got guys in the corner wide open, and for some reason it took the Timberwolves forever to figure it out. But they eventually did, and Edwards got cooking in the second half. And you look at what Julius Randle provided the Timberwolves in Game 4. And he was sensational, like he has been throughout the entire playoffs. When the Golden State Warriors began the game, the crowd was into it more than they were in Game 3. This is a must-win game. Because if you go down 3-1, you have like a 95% chance of losing the series. And the players knew it, the crowd knew it, and they got off to a quick 5-0 start. And the Timberwolves were a little off. Edwards missed his opening three, which was open, but it was started by a deflection, and it was kind of a weird play, and then he missed the three. And then in steps Julius Randle with a 19-point first half, settles the Timberwolves down immediately to start the game, scores their first 5 points, and evens up the score at 5. And he entered this game not at 100% because of a sinus infection that he was dealing with. All the things that people have said, including me, about Julius Randle throughout the entire season, of him not showing up, of him not being ready to play, of him not being a good fit next to Rudy Gobert and this Timberwolves roster, has been entirely wrong, particularly in the playoffs. Because it's not like we were wrong when it was happening, because the Timberwolves could not figure it out. And they snuck into the play-in, or into the 6th seed, just out of the play-in game, because of the way the schedule worked at the end of the season, favoring the Timberwolves. So let's not pretend like we were wrong for judging Randle throughout the entire year and the Timberwolves roster, because they were not living up to the expectations that everybody had for them following a trip to the Western Conference Finals. But in the final month of the year, Randle got healthy, they figured out how to play together, and they took that with them into the playoffs and snuck into that 6th seed. So let's not pretend like, oh yeah, it was picture perfect all season long. It was ugly for a majority of the year. And we've seen flashbacks of just how ugly it has been, particularly in Game 1 against Golden State. Particularly, even though the Wolves won in Game 5 against the Lakers, it was an ugly win. So let's not pretend that it's been beautiful basketball all season long and beautiful basketball all throughout the playoffs. However, with that being said, Randle has taken his game to another level in these playoffs, and he has been exactly what the doctor ordered. With that also being said, Julius Randle is a player built for the playoffs, because 95% of what he does and has been doing in these playoffs is not allowed in the regular season. Randle would have been called for 50 charges if this was regular season basketball. But his greatest strength offensively is lowering his shoulder into a Draymond Green, into a defender, getting space and finishing at the rim. He is built for playoff basketball because officials allow players to play way more than they do in the regular season. It's a completely different brand and style of basketball that is being played in the playoffs than what is allowed in the regular season. So what we are seeing is Randle taking advantage and using his skill set for playoff basketball. He's using his strength for playoff basketball because you look at the dude's shoulders, and the dude is one of the strongest guys that you will ever see on an NBA court. He's not the tallest, but he's thick and he's strong and he's tough. And if there's a loose ball, I will bet that 98% of the time, Julius Randle is the one that will end up with it because he is stronger than almost every single player on the basketball court. So he is using his strength to his advantage, and it is working out favorably in the Timberwolves' favor. 31 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 11 for 21. And he settled the Timberwolves down early. The Timberwolves began the game on a gravel road, if you've ever traveled on one of those. It was rocky, it's bumpy. And here came Julius Randle. What he was a beautiful, tar, smooth road. Have you ever driven on one of those? A new paved tar road where it just feels like you're gliding. And that's what Julius Randle offered the Timberwolves in Game 4, and particularly throughout these playoffs. And as much as it was a must-win game for the Warriors to even it up 2-2, it was still a big win for the Timberwolves because what the Timberwolves are doing right now is they are racing against the clock. And the clock is Stephen Curry's hamstring injury. They want to close out this series before Curry can have any possible chance of pulling off a miracle and bringing the Warriors back into the series and advancing to the Western Conference Finals. The Wolves are racing the clock. And they must be in win now mode in Game 5 because there's this huge long break between Game 5 and Game 6 because of the WNBA taking up the Golden State court. And that is a huge advantage for the Warriors. They play Wednesday, and then they don't play again until Sunday. So if the Warriors win Game 5, Curry's got Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to get ready for Game 6. And even if he comes back, I would highly doubt that he would be 100% because of a hamstring injury. That's a tough thing to come back from. And with the way Curry plays, the amount of movement and quickness and side steps that he does, he probably won't be 100%. But I don't want to give him a chance to be 80%. The Wolves need to figure out and end this series on Wednesday night to eliminate any possible chance that Curry can come back and save the day for the Warriors. So, as much as it was a must-win game for the Warriors, the Wolves, in a way, it's a must-win game for them because they're racing against Curry's healthy clock. So, it was a huge win for the Timberwolves to advance and get up 3-1. Jimmy Butler, what an intriguing storyline he had in Game 4. Because the Warriors were up 2 at halftime, and he had limited field goal attempts in the first half. And it felt like it was purposeful. It felt like what Butler was doing and what the Golden State Warriors strategy was to ride Kuminga and Draymond Green in the first half and Buddy Hield, allow those guys to keep it close, and save Jimmy Butler for the fourth quarter. And I'm guessing that was their strategy. He sat out the final 4 minutes of the second quarter before halftime. But he finishes with a -30. The worst plus-minus on the Golden State Warriors roster. And what happened was Anthony Edwards. Butler was saving himself for the second half. But he ran into a freight train of Anthony Edwards, Stephen Currying the Warriors in the third quarter. Because what we saw in Game 3 was Butler really being exhausted in the fourth quarter because he was carrying the Warriors up until that point. But then he did not score in the final 8 minutes of the game because he was so exhausted. He ran out of legs. And then what we saw in game 4 was the exact opposite. He saved himself for the second half. But there was no second half to save himself for because Anthony Edwards went off. And really, if Jimmy Butler scores 14 points and Buddy Hield scores 13 points, I don't care what Jonathan Kuminga and Draymond Green are going to provide. Without Stephen Curry, the Warriors have zero chance to win that kind of game. When their two best players score less than 15 points individually. So it was a big win for the Timberwolves, and they're now up 3-1. And now it gets interesting because the Nuggets and Thunder are in a competitive series with the series tied 2-2. And both teams seem very beatable. And if the Timberwolves can finish off this series, let's not try to get too far ahead of ourselves, but it's hard not to. The Celtics down 3-1. The Cavaliers down 3-1. An expected Knicks Pacers Eastern Conference Finals. Those are favorable NBA Finals matchups if either of those teams advance to the NBA Finals. So it's hard not to get ahead of ourselves and think, holy piss in my pants. The Timberwolves are looking good if they can get past Golden State and finish off this series. Because the Nuggets are beatable. The Thunder have looked beatable. Whew. Kind of get chills thinking about it. But I think I'll talk about that tomorrow. Are the Timberwolves, do they have a date with destiny in the NBA Finals? Ooh. Wow. That's exciting stuff. Thank you for watching. Remember, 5-Star Bath Solutions of Minneapolis. The bathroom remodel that will give you a masterpiece in 48 hours. Check them out today and be a happy customer. Add value to your home. 5-Star Bath Solutions of Minneapolis. Everyone have a great day. And go Wolves. Go Vikings. Go Wild. Go Twins. Go Gophers. Thank you for watching and listening.